Well, good morning from Newark, and welcome to another episode of Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where they have really good lunch stuff Sunday. We're going to be getting some of that on the way back.
I can't wait, man. I'm going with those chicken tenders that you went with.
You're just looking for anything at all that's a positive spin after this event that we covered here. The Penguins, actually look at it from the other standpoint. The Devils have only won 2 out of their last 8 games, and both of them have been against the Penguins. And that was a team that was there to be had. Isn't that how the third period kind of felt to you?
Yeah, it did to an extent. I mean, the Penguins ended that game with, 2.5 minutes of extended time with the goalie pulled. It looked like they were going to have a couple chances.
Sure.
They were out there with all of the stars. Malkin and Crosby were trying to get the call with the puck over the glass.
And the Devils had their own star
Sure.
that the Penguins let go on a complete breakaway to win the game. And it just, you were in the locker room there with me afterward, and you could sense the frustration in there. I mean, it's real.
Yeah, I mean, it's
They're
frustrating.
irritated.
It's frustrating. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but we saw people scampering out of there real quick. People didn't want to talk.
And the ones who stayed, who did talk, were just as frustrated. I mean, they sat there and answered questions about it.
Yeah,
it's an irritated room.
Absolutely. When Evgeny Malkin came back in from his shower,
Surprising.
Sat down. Yeah, it was a little bit surprising, and he sat down and he was honest. He talked about needing to get the puck on the net. Talked about Phil trying to jumpstart things by getting a little feisty. I mean,
yeah, it's a tough place to be right now. And they're going to have to come up with answers, and I think they're going to have to come up with them in a hurry.
Don't forget, this Devils team is 5-0-1 against the Penguins in their last 6 games.
That's just weird. That's all that is weird. That's not even a real stat. That's just weirdness.
Pitt beat Virginia Tech this past weekend, but one of my big-time ultimate memories of Pitt Virginia Tech was when Larry Fitzgerald plucked the ball one-handed amid 3 defenders in the end zone from Rod Rutherford, and then just handed the ball to the officials like it was nothing. Mm-hmm. Larry Fitzgerald has been a lifetime superstar, both in college football and in the pros, and with this past week, he has now moved into the number 2 all-time NFL receiving yards leader, only behind the Jerry Rice.
And that's a guy those records might not come down ever. As long as Jerry Rice played. But yeah, I mean, Larry Fitzgerald's a guy I was fortunate enough to be in college the same time as him. Got to interview him a few times as a student media person, like right after his first big game against Texas A&M.
Wow.
Down at what's now the Rooney Complex. Wasn't even called that back then, I don't think. But I mean, he was always, such a humble guy. I remember after a Pitt basketball game, I'm in doing interviews for the Pitt News, and my dad happened to be in town, like it was around Christmas, and he sat there talking to my dad for like 10 minutes. My dad doesn't even have that much interest in football, but afterward he came out saying, he's a really nice guy. It's like, that's the kind of dude Larry always was, and so I can't be happier. Like, there's nobody I'd rather see like move up the charts, and he's a surefire Hall of Famer.
Oh, yes.
I mean, the only bad thing is he's not going to win a Super Bowl, and his closest chance, of course, the Steelers were the ones who stopped him.
Yeah, I mean,
although he certainly did everything in that game possible to do
he
it.
He did everything in those playoffs. If you look at he scored 3 touchdowns in the first half against the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. He was not unstoppable. And the Steelers, for 3 quarters, they shut him out. They were able to like, look, we're going to take him out of the game. And then that 4th quarter, when Kurt Warner said, look, we're going to get the ball to Larry, they got the ball to Larry.
And he was a guy, the one knock on him, even coming into when he got drafted, was lack of speed.
Yeah.
He made Ike Taylor look like he was running in molasses on that.
He really did. He just split the defense, and it was just. But that's Larry Fitzgerald. He's a guy. You get him the ball, he's gonna find a way to win. I don't care about your 40-yard dash. I don't care about those numbers. He's going to beat you some way, somehow. And I mean, I've seen this guy with the Cardinals over the years. He is their organization. He's the best guy they've ever had in that franchise, and he's embodied it. And I'd say to say we're talking about Pitt football. That guy is the ultimate representation of what you want to show. Like this is our shining example of what you want a player to become.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a great representative of Pitt, great representative for the Cardinals, the NFL as a whole. How did he not win a Heisman? Still one of the biggest robberies ever.
White.
Robbery. Jameson Taillon, he was collecting an award, and tell us a little bit first about the award, but what he was telling you about adding a new pitch too.
Yeah, he won the Chuck Tanner Memorial Award, and it's presented annually at the Chuck Tanner Awards Banquet, which the Rotary Club of Pittsburgh has at the Rivers Club in 1 Oxford Center. It's a really nice affair. They have a Major League Manager of the Year as their main award, and I went to Bob Melvin from Oakland. But JMO, He's excited. I mean, even though it's November, he's not that far into the offseason. You can tell he's already looking forward to spring training. And, you know, he started throwing a slider last year, and he had mixed results. It got better as the season went on. And he really thinks that's going to be a big pitch for him. And he's looking forward to getting into the games in spring training and throwing it more where there's no pressure to get people out in exhibition games. And, yeah, he's very excited, and he thinks they have a chance to have a really good team next year.
Yeah, and he's a guy, too, that I always, you know, thinking about him being 27 for the, you know, coming up. He seems so much younger because of the time he missed. You know, it took him a while to get up. But, you know, for a pitcher, that means, you know, a little less wear and tear on that arm.
Exactly.
I mean, you think about him, you think about all the guys back in the rotation, you know, if they can keep Musgrove going at a good level, Nova solid. It looks like the starting rotation might be pretty good, but then the big question is the back end, you know, who's going to bridge that gap there and, you know, get to Vasquez at the end? You know, what are the Pirates in need of, really?
Well, they're hoping that the Kyle Crick was the real deal. He had a very good first year after coming over from the Giants and the McCutchen trade. Keona Kella will be there for a full year. They got him from Texas right before the July 31st non-waiver trading deadline. And they'd like to add a lefty reliever. I mean, they still feel Stephen Brault has a chance to help them. But I think they'd like to get a veteran guy that they could put in the 7th, 6th, 7th inning to match up with lefties or even pitch a whole inning, because usually they ask their lefties to also get righties out. Yeah. And there are a number of guys out there on the market. As usual, relief pitchers flood the market, so I would think that they would be able to get somebody here this winter.
Why is that specifically, do you think, that the Pirates, you know, some teams, you know, like going with just a lefty guy who'll come in and face one batter and pull. Pirates tend not to do that. Is that just Hurdle's philosophy, or is it an organizational thing?
It's sort of an organizational philosophy. They feel that it's almost like a waste of a roster spot if you have somebody on your roster who's maybe only going to face 1 or 2 batters in a game. And you see a lot of that around baseball. A guy will pitch in 62 games but only 38 innings or something like that, because they're just coming in to get a tough lefty out. Now, there's something to be said for having that kind of guy too, but their philosophy is that they just don't want to use a roster space on somebody that has such a limited role.
Yeah, I guess part of that too is also when you don't have Red Sox money to splash around on guys like that, you need guys to serve a couple of roles.